Hello, hello. Welcome to Why Yoga. Today isn't going to be a list of reasons why yoga is good for you. It's going to be me sharing my personal journey with yoga and why it's been so helpful to me. My journey with yoga started around, I want to say 2004. And the reason I even started yoga was I was a dancer. I was a serious dancer for around 16 years. Even when I was a new practicing lawyer, I was in dance class probably 3 days a week for around 6 hours. I took double classes on Saturday. I was in class twice a week at night. When I wasn't dancing, I was, doing the bike or walking or strength training. So I was incredibly active, and everything I did was to support my body as a dancer. But around 2004, I started feeling deep pain in my joints, in my hips, in my knees. I went to the orthopedic surgeon who just wanted to give me anti-inflammatory medication and encouraged me to take MSM and glucosamine. Now, I'm not a huge fan of taking stuff, so I was like, well, I'll take one and let's just see if one works. So I took MSM and it actually did help a lot. I still take it to this day, and I never did take glucosamine. And I think a study came out recently that between the two, MSM is more helpful to your cartilage, to your connective tissue. So dance was kind of starting to be something I was going to need to retire from. So I was around 34 years old and I needed something to take its place. And so I went to Yoga Works in Laguna Beach and I started trying out different classes. And I found that my favorite class, I found a favorite teacher. I'm very finicky about teachers, but I found an amazing teacher, and she taught vinyasa flow for 90 minutes. It was really intense and I loved it. I'd walk out of that class feeling like I could float, like I was just gonna drift away into the sky. And they tell us to be very careful when we drive because I guess there's a lot of accidents after yoga class. So I was a regular at the studio. Now, fast forward to 2009, I was returning from court. I was in a crosswalk. A lady looked to her left. She was stopped, and she didn't look to her right before she started to take a right at the stop sign. And I was there with binders and a purse and high heels and a suit. And she put on her brakes, but she hit me. And that hit, which seemed not that big of a deal at the time, I was pretty messed up for 2 years. My back pain was incredible. I had an orthopedic surgeon. I had a chiropractor I would see, several times a week. I ended up doing like compression, like where you are it's like stretching you out, like medieval torture. I did everything, but I was really out of commission for 2 full years. I wasn't able to ski, dance, run. Walking long distances was painful. I think the physical activity I did was the recumbent bike and weight training, but anything else I wasn't able to do. 2 years later, I had my primary physician recommend a really gentle yoga class over at the community center of the hospital, and it was at 7:00. So I'd those days, whether I think it was Tuesday or Thursday, I would go to work and then I would always plan to go to this community class. And I was a little bit skeptical because I was really into those rigorous vinyasa flow classes where you just never stop moving, and it's downward dog and all these different postures, and you are just working really hard, and then you do a 20-minute shavasana. I mean, it was just amazing. So I went, and it turns out he taught hatha yoga, and I'm pronouncing it the American way, so correct me in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's not the way you pronounce it. I think it's hatha, but in the US we pronounce it hatha. Anyway, I digress. So I was in there with like retirees that were well into their 60s and 70s, and I went every week, and it was very slow. He would put us in a posture, we would hold it, We would ujjayi breathe into certain postures, which is like that Darth Vader, where you're fogging a window. You know, we'd be in triangle pose and we'd be ujjayi breathing. And I loved it. I not only did I notice it helped me heal physically and I was having less pain, but I also noticed that in my very stressful job, I was able to feel more calm and centered throughout my work week. And I have to tell you about my girlfriend at work. So I'm so in love with this class, you know, I want to share it with everybody, and it's free. So regularly I would bug my girlfriend, Lisa, and say, hey, do you want to go to yoga class with me on Thursday? It's awesome, da da da. And she was like, no, I'm not into it. I can't. There was always an excuse. And so one week I said to her, look, if you will go with me to one class, literally one class, I will never ask you to go to yoga again. I'll never bug you again. Because literally she was probably running out of excuses of reasons why she couldn't go with me that particular week. And I was relentless in asking her to go, maybe begging her, maybe trying to bully her, who knows? But she went with me. She's like, fine, I will go this week. So that week she went to her one yoga class. That girl never missed a week. She was with me every single week until that teacher retired and moved back to Washington. And we were devastated because we're like, what are we going to do? So I actually started teaching 3 of us that same, not sequence, because he didn't have a regular sequence, but I started teaching the same postures and breathing. And we would do our own hour-long yoga class once a week. And that was kind of my start to teaching. And so from there, I started teaching at church, the ladies at church. We would meet once a week. I'd have like 8 women that came regularly. It was just very addictive because I think it's not only like so healing and strengthening physically, but like mentally and emotionally. It really teaches you how to ground and be centered throughout your week. It's really quite a magical thing when you incorporate it. And honestly, I'm a fan of like 10 to 20 minutes a day, and I'm also a fan of just once a week. I'm a fan of once a month. I taught once a month before a volleyball night, and I would have 20 to 30 people show up from church and the community, and I would see over the course of the year, the people that came just once a month, and most of them weren't yogis that were practicing other times, but I could see the improvement just at coming once a month of their body awareness, knowing where they were in space, having just a hair more flexibility or range of motion. And so whatever you can commit to, I recommend doing, because yoga can be transformative and it's what your body needs, because whatever you're doing physically, it's probably not hitting all the aspects of your body, your joints, your deep muscles. You know, there's a few add-ons to our regimens for our sports or our training that probably needs to include dance, yoga, Pilates, to really get some of those deeper supportive muscles and that range of motion and that flexibility and the proprioception. So that is my personal story and journey with yoga, and it's also why I got trained in hatha yoga in India, because at the end of the day, although I love vinyasa flow, I don't love it that much anymore, because I really learned the power of the slow and the deliberate and the centering and the grounding. And so I will probably never move away from this type of yoga. And it's a yoga that anyone can do, regardless of experience or age. And that's because it is slow and it does put you in a posture. It does focus on alignment. it does focus on safety and doing just what your body can do and not being so competitive with yourself or others. So that's my story. I hope it was helpful. Here at 25th Hour Yoga, we have lots of videos for, most of them can be done at any level, beginner to intermediate, and for whatever length of time you have. I have a 3-minute chair video all the way up to like a 30-minute post-workout, more intensive video, and everything in between. So I hope to see you. I hope to see you on the mat. And until next time, namaste. And it would be awesome if you would like and subscribe.